you have retail investors thinking they are geniuses just because they have picked some random fund. Today, the number of funds probably is more than 1200 and it's going on increasing. So I think it's a great way to build a second income, and there will come a point when that second income is so much that you can fully transition that. And I think a lot of people on the sidelines will eventually transition to it full time. Of course, there's no surprise that the RI profession is at 400 or so active RIs. It's come down, it's dwindled, it's not gone up. We are just scratching the surface. We have 5 crore unique PANs in mutual fund space. It could easily go 10 times as much in the next 10-15 years.
Hello everyone, welcome to Nirmal Bang Podcast. I am Ritu Poddar and today we are going to talk about the most important and integral part of mutual fund industry. Normally when we talk about mutual fund industry, the names comes like a star fund manager, big AMCs, complex strategies, and new fintech platforms usually comes to our head. But a very important part which we missed out is a person who helped us in this entire investment journey, who started, who helped you to start a first SIP, who held your hand in the volatile market, the mutual fund distributor. So today I have with us Mr. Neil Borate from Mint, just to understand, how this MFD space is look like, what all the opportunities and challenges we see going forward. So Neil, from your lens, if we talk about the mutual fund distributors, what are the key opportunities and challenges you see going ahead?
So Ritu, thanks for having me. Um, the whole landscape has changed quite a bit for mutual fund distributors. So what do I mean? If you think of the pre-pandemic era, it was sort of an old world situation where physical interaction was important, physical forms were being filled and so on. So it was quite a fragmented industry. To the post 2020, we saw this huge bull market, expansion of discount brokers, a lot of young investors going direct, and to an extent there was a disruption of that traditional model, because in a bull market any fund that you invest in practically goes up. And you have retail investors thinking they are geniuses just because they have picked some random fund. um, it is now that the market has flattened out, and going forward we are bound to see some kind of down cycle. No market is on a perpetual uh, roller coaster ride upwards. So as that down cycle kicks in, I think people will start seeing the value of advice. And insofar as a mutual fund distributor gives incidental advice, they are also going to see the value of a MFD. Um, it's a complicated area, when you think of MFDs, RIAs, and the intermediaries. We talk about that going forward. But broadly speaking, I think the next leg of the market actually is going to be very, very good for mutual fund distributors.
So any kind of a challenges you see for the MFDs going forward in this space?
I think there are probably three kinds of challenges. So one is, how do they position themselves against RIAs, because SEBI rules say that they cannot call themselves advisors. So then how does the client positioning happen? At some point client is going to ask. The second challenge is, now that clients have, there's an awareness about direct plans, how do you still convince somebody that actually no, you stick with the regular plan, I'm going to help you through that journey. um, and I think the third one is about multi-product capabilities. Like, mutual fund will satisfy most investment needs, but there is also insurance, there is also um, pensions and retirement, NPS. And a real advisor, a good advisor, has to be product neutral. He or she cannot say that this is all I'm going to sell and this is the only good thing in town.
So as you said, because last few years we have seen each and every funds perform whatever you have picked up. But in this DIY kind of a scenario where we see the investments become very easy for any kind of or layman kind of investors, how MFDs can add value additions in the investors portfolio or investors enhance to investors return?
Yeah. So although the DIY platforms have made the process of investment very easy, what they haven't done very well is simplify selection of funds, simplify when to enter, when to exit, how to build a portfolio. And this is clearly where MFDs have an edge. Today, the number of funds probably is more than 1200 and it's going on increasing. How is the retail investor supposed to simplify and supposed to select a fund from this jungle? And it's constantly growing. So that's where the MFD comes in. MFD also comes in when there's a down cycle and people are anxious, they're worried, or they're greedy. There is some sector that's doing well and they want to load up on that sector.
Really, financial media actually plays a very important role, whether on an investor side, on the MFD side. How MFDs can leverage that, the financial media exposure, what they are getting, and help their clients.
So the media offers multiple opportunities. In Mint, for example, we do have guest columns that we carry every day, and we invite MFDs to write about interesting, deeply researched topics. So that's a very sort of almost a low cost option, right? To get your name out there. The media does not charge anything, but you get that access to the distribution of media. Um, the other thing that media does is it builds credibility. That why were you selected as opposed to the hundreds of others out there? There must be something special about you or the way you've written. So a lot of people think that they can do without the media. I don't think in today's day and age uh, that will really build scale.
As you said, there are the lot many columns comes, and the news print media is in the picture. But how many people actually read newspaper nowadays? I mean, mostly people prefer, nowadays
Yeah.
social media, or they follow
Yeah.
the fin influencers.
Yeah.
They take guidance from them. Some ideas pop up. Then fin influencer
Yeah.
are hundred of fin influencer comes and pop up with
Yeah.
the same idea.
Yeah.
So how do you think how that people or
Sure.
MFDs get influenced by that?
Sure. So let me break up the audience according to the medium concerned, right? So print media has a traditional kind of audience. People who have a habit of taking newspapers, that is a lifetime's habit. That's not going to go away. So that's one audience you will only get to the print media. You may or may not get them through social and YouTube, but certainly you'll get them through print. Then there is the younger people who don't have that print wala habit, but who do go online and read digitally. Now, all of the print media's articles, especially the ones that we write at Mint, they are also available in digital format. And coming to the third element, and today the most dominant one, which is social.
Yes.
So, when it comes to sharing on social media, you need to have credibility, right? Everyone today writes tweets, posts, Instagram reels, you name it, and they're doing it.
Yes.
But if you're able to signal that whatever I'm posting about has also been published by a national publication, then it adds weight to your own social media presence. So I think media also fulfills that role. When it comes to influencers, frankly, influencers are not only in a sense competition because they are taking customers from you, but also dangerous competition because they have no guardrails. They will go out and repackage anything into some clickbait kind of video. Your clients will start asking you that why didn't you tell me this? Yes. And then you have to spend hours of your time trying to tell them no, this is not correct, this is the correct thing. So so the media is your ally, really speaking.
Interesting. So, if we talk about this MFT space, lot many Gen Zs, they are looking for a unconventional, routes to go into. I mean, earlier there was a doctor, engineer, so they would like to go for some other. So how do you think why this MFT space is good for them, and what additional or value addition they as a Gen Zs can do it
Yeah.
for the investors?
Yeah. I was actually quite surprised to meet some of them yesterday in Pune, which is my hometown. I'm usually there on weekends and Mondays. So a couple of them had approached me, and they were actually part time. So they were doing some corporate job, and they were also had this business on the side. And thankfully, platforms, including yours, I believe,
Yes.
have made this possible that you can just plug and play all of the paperwork, the portfolio reporting. These things are taken care of. You can focus on delivering value to your clients. So I think it's a great way to build a second income, and there will come a point when that second income is so much that you can fully transition to that. And I think a lot of people on the sidelines will eventually transition to it full time.
I mean, mostly you are saying like mostly Gen Zs are looking as a second income.
A segment of them, because on day one you don't start with a book of 50 crores or 100 crores, right? You begin small. You have 10 friends, they are your clients. It's only in probably in year 2 and year 3 that you break even at scale.
Yeah. If we talk about the industry point of view, like these lot many new Gen Zs. So earlier, what was the case? Like MFDs, who were the MFDs? Mostly who were selling the insurance. They have entered in this particular
Yeah.
space, or they were a post office or bank kind of a job. Now, if any Gen Zs are coming into this space, from the industry perspective, what are the changes you can see in the if we talk about the investors' experience, any kind of a changes do you foresee?
Yeah, 100%. So actually, one great thing about Gen Z's coming into the profession is that the clients are going to be Gen Z, right? Or they're going to be millennials, and people like dealing with other people their own age. They often are diffident when it's somebody who's very, very senior. You can't usually share things, and when it's finance, it's a very personal thing. You need to have that trust. So in terms of the new generation of Gen Zs, the people that I've spoken to, they have come from backgrounds like CA, may not have cleared CA, but they've done some levels of CA. And they've worked in some firms, like sometimes in one of the big four firms, but they've felt key, no, I want to build something of my own. Or it could be software engineers, like very traditional kind of backgrounds, but now we see that IT is not growing in the way that it used to. So it's a great way for a lot of IT folks to transition to this field, and they bring their own network. So somebody who's worked in XYZ IT company for 4 or 5 years already probably has a circle of 30, 40 colleagues who don't have advice, who don't have access to someone, and he brings them.
So here we have seen lot many MFDs who are in this market since 15, 20 years, and now the next generation is there. So they want them to come in this particular field, but some of the people or some of the Gen Zs, they are like attracted towards this industry. Some are not. So we are seeing a very mixed bag kind of a interest in this area, because this is, as you are saying, definitely it's a a part-time kind of a things, but I personally believe it's like a full-time job.
No, I fully agree with you. I just meant that a segment of people who are entering first do part time,
Yeah,
then
definitely.
they get a certain amount of AUM, then they do full time. But it could be that somebody has a practice that they've inherited from their parents, or they have such a robust network of contacts that on day one they can start this full time. So completely agree with you on that.
So, mis-selling in this financial world is a very common name. How this actually can hurt any of the MFDs, and what kind of a consequences MFDs can see?
Yeah. So mis-selling has been rampant, especially with bank RMs. I have seen family after family damaged because of this, especially with insurance mis-selling. And insurance mis-selling is as rampant today as it was 10, 15 years ago. Mutual funds have been cleaned up. So mutual funds, if you look at the chronology of it, at one point there were entry loads, they were abolished. At one point there were upfront commissions, those were abolished. Now we have a fairly clean, regulated trail commission kind of model, fairly transparent. That is not to say mis-selling does not happen. If you look at this number of sector funds and thematic funds and NFOs that keep coming out, and I asked the previous SEBI chairperson herself about this, and she acknowledged that it's a problem. Um, I think most MFDs at heart know this, and they would, it's unlikely that they would mis-sell because they want to keep that client for the long term. Nobody who wants to be with you for the next 10 years is going to do something in the short term at your expense. This is unfortunately not true with bank RMs because they are constantly being transferred or they're quitting jobs. They don't care. They have targets. Um, so I hope most MFDs, you could be in an in-between situation where you're with a national, maybe you're employed by a national distributor, or some sort of situation where you have some incentive to meet targets. You're an employee maybe. I would say remember the long term. Remember you're going to be there. Your clients are going to be there, and if it takes more time to earn that money, it's fine.
Agree. So MFDs, I mean, they have their own, they are their own CEOs probably of their
Yes.
own business. And if they, I mean, any client will feel or, experience the bad experience will take away, then definitely, he will tell to the, different people and might, that can hurt the MFD's business. And in this scenario, Neil, we are seeing a lot many regulatory changes are happening on the mutual fund side,
Hmm.
specifically if we talk about, and that changes somewhere or somehow is hurting, MFDs or in terms of their business or the volume side. Um, what's your take on that, and how MFDs can be prepared for that?
Yeah. So I have tracked the regulatory space for a long, long time. I have been associated with it, with the policy making of it, and my thinking now has changed quite a bit from where it used to be. I used to have a very black and white view of the world where I felt that it is registered investment advisors or RIAs who should be advising the vast majority of people. And anything that's incentivized by commissions leads to distorted kind of advice and therefore is not optimal. That was my outlook. Um, However, observing this space now after many, many years, I have come to realize that the compliance burden on RIAs is so large. And despite efforts, and I was part of one such effort, you can call it SEBI Reforms 1.0, which went into effect in Jan of 25 to ease that burden. Despite that effort, despite the current consultation paper, which proposes further easing on the RIA license, it is still huge. I remember one of the MFDs I met yesterday said, sorry, not MFDs, one guy who's applying for an RI license I met yesterday said he was given a 50 document checklist just for that initial bit to put that application into the system. This is insane. Of course, there's no surprise that the RI profession is at 400 or so active RIs. It's come down, it's dwindled, it's not gone up. So unless SEBI takes this chance and just dramatically revamps the system, not incremental change, it needs a complete overhaul where you scrap 90% of the regulations, make it easy. Unless that happens, I think for most Indians who have portfolios below 1 crore, honestly, RIA is not going to be cost effective. It's not going to be feasible. And for them, MFDs is a reasonably good option.
Yes.
There is alignment. Of course, you have to be mindful that they are paid by commissions, and have a conversation with your MFD very transparently that why is this fund being selected? What is the TER on this? That's fine. It should not be hidden from any customer. But I think the vast majority of India's market will continue to be served by MFDs and served well by MFDs going forward. My hope, it's more of a dream that SEBI does in fact cut out 90% of the RI regulations, because then we can have MFDs transition to RI status, or at least corporate RI status, in which you can do both. Officially, you can do both. And we no longer have this dichotomy where you have these 400 people struggling under the weight of regulation, and you have the 99% of the rest of the financial ecosystem, which uh, which cannot call itself an advisor. So this dichotomy has to end in the interest of customers.
It's a very interesting point you have kept it, RIA. I won't say RIA against IMFDs. I mean, they are together. Definitely, you have shown a path where MFDs can become a RIA. Here, any kind of a suggestion or suggestion you would like to give to MFDs who are just starting or entering in this particular space? What are the things they should keep in mind when they are entering in this space?
I would say that you are your client's protector. Your client will be bombarded by influencers every day on Instagram. Your clients will have friends, relatives, XYZ coming up to them, fraud reels, scam reels that are all over the place, scam apps, and your job is to protect them and to say no to 99% of this rubbish. Um, and your job is to stay honest and not be influenced one bit by what the amount of commission is on a particular product, because your alignment is in the long term with your clients. um, just keep these two things in mind, and the future is extremely bright. We are just scratching the surface. We have 5 crore unique pans in the mutual fund space. uh, it could easily go 10 times as much in the next 10-15 years.
Oh, thank you, Neil. Thank you for keeping your unbiased views with us and sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
your
you so much
time.
for giving me this opportunity. I think a lot of people would not have expected this given my history and what I've written in the past, but I've taken this opportunity to clear the air, to clear my own stance, which on the reflection has changed quite a bit. So thank you so much.
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें। Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.